Hello, everybody, and welcome to podcast number 63 of The Real Estate Show. I'm Cherise Selley, and with me is Shawna Uehling of Selley Group Real Estate, and we are so glad to be back with you as all of you I know are getting prepared for this Thanksgiving time, and holidays are coming, and we all feel the change, and houses, they're coming down too. So
yeah, they are.
I mean, there's a lot going on, but let's break down some stats, shall we, Shawna?
Let's do it.
Are you ready? So for October, that's our last month of stats because November is not complete yet as we air this. October 2022 stats, the average home price was at $532,488, and it is actually slightly up, if you can believe it,
Really?
from September 22. So just a little bit.
Okay.
1.8%, that's not a huge, doesn't mean that, hey, sellers, everybody start overpricing your home because the market's going back up. But it shows that there hasn't been a huge drop off, which is good. The median price of homes it's a little bit up too. So at 1.1% up. So 465 was the median price for October, and the median price for September was 460. So back, let's say this October of 2021, the average home price was at 510 and the median price was at 446. So we were a little bit closer to 4 to 4.5% above for this month versus 2021.
It's not too bad.
No. So when people are thinking, run to the hills, literally, and burn your houses because everything's, falling away. That's not true. But at the same time, there's a lot of hard things happening. So let's not gloss it over. The market is very different than it was. We all know that. And let's talk about this because I think the big thing is inventory. So right now we're at 2,645 homes for October that were active supplied homes, with sales being at 1,100 for that month. So let's talk about October 2021 because this is an interesting comparison. Last year at this time, we only had 1,048 active listings and 1,641 sales. Hello?
Yeah, that is interesting.
So it is so everybody basically could sell their home and some, right? Last year. This year, you might have about 2 to 2.5 homes for every home that's selling. So that's not crazy numbers. It's not like, again, the sky is falling, but sellers beware. This is the actually tracking the sales and the active supply is the part that can show us the changes that are occurring besides just the average and the median price. There's just more homes on the market and fewer are selling this year.
And it gives buyers more to look at and a little more time to choose, which is a positive on that side.
I think that is a positive. And I mean, there is some silver lining for every time that somebody's feeling despair. I think, I want to change this around for a minute because as we're talking about it, it's just coming into my mind. We have our real life war stories, don't we, Shawna?
We do.
Every week in this business. And I have a story about meeting a client. They were a sweet couple. It was a little over a week ago. And they came into town, and she will be a young doctor working here, not completely finished with residency, but transitioning here. And, we were they wanted to compare a quote starter home to see how that would look for their life versus one that they would have considered kind of a move-up home. And do they take the risk of starting with the starter home or do they go immediately to the move-up home? And I think that was a very important exercise to do with them. And I mean, there was a big question that was posed because they're looking at their payments. And with the starter home price, their payments are still over $3,500 a month, really closer to $4,000. And so the question is that a smart use of finances if we move in 2 years? Should we sell? We could sell that home and then actually buy up to our kind of doctor level home that we really want to raise kids in. So the question would be, do you buy that starter home, sell it in 2 years, and then buy the move-up home. So that strategy was, I mean, that was a no-brainer a few years ago, wasn't it, Shawna?
Yeah. I know. I had an interesting similar story last week too. I was meeting a client and he had 2 rental properties and is looking into selling those and maybe buying a multi-unit. And after looking at all the numbers with everything, and we know the market's going to be trending down. So for him, it kind of makes sense it sounds like to hold, because what he will lose maybe on the downturn with the 2 smaller ones he would sell, he would have a bigger gain on the drop of the bigger one he's going to buy. So,
I see.
So there's all kinds of ways to look at this market.
There really is.
Like you think, oh, maybe sell now, the market's going down. Well, yeah, but in his case, it might be better to hold.
Isn't that interesting? So you just successfully unsold yourself a job. Is that what you're saying?
I hate that.
So,
but yep.
So, okay. So,
but he'll call back.
I mean, the Selley cleaning business, right? We need to get our other thing going, right? If we keep doing this. And for me, I did the same thing. I successfully unsold the starter home idea because what I said, and this is wisdom for anybody listening right now, and wisdom that I need to remind myself of, that short-term thinking in a changing market is not the way to navigate this market.
Right.
So short-term thinking, meaning I'm just going to buy a home and I can flip it, I can sell it. Hey, I mean, these big companies, Redfin, I believe, are one of these big companies, they just stopped the flipping business. We know Zillow stopped the iBuyer stuff.
Yeah.
So there's reasons why flips are not working. Some of them do. Strategically, if you're an investor and you're really wise about that, with the right counsel, yes, you can still make a flip work. But the average buyer just buying to bank on that extra profit, this accelerated lightning speed profit, those days are not here. So in fact, we will still be on a decline, and that's going to continue probably harder even this next year than it is this year.
Yeah, that's what they're projecting for sure.
Yeah.
But you just have to be smart and look at all angles and, weigh all your options, because sometimes the obvious choice might not be, when you look at it, the best choice.
That's right. That's exactly right. So don't always go with the obvious,
Yeah.
You really have to do your research. That's what we're here to help you discern. And for this client that I was working with, it makes more sense for them to think in 5-year increments. Mm-hmm. And if they were going to buy their starter home to keep it for 5 years or so, that seems like a much less risky approach.
And that's always a wise thing to do anyway, I think, no matter what the market. Like a 5-year outlook is, gives you some safety.
It does. It does. I mean, when the market crashed before and the people that just chased the market down and had to panic sell, mm-hmm. If they would have waited those extra years, then their home, some of the people, their home almost doubled in price.
Yeah, it almost doubled.
So that's why, again, don't buy with a mentality of short-term thinking. Mm-hmm. And so ride the wave. We're all in it. We're all feeling it. But
Cowabunga.
There you go. You can surf, girl.
No, I can't.
And I think I just think it's so important. And along some of these other important things that we're dealing with on a practical basis, Shawna, some real life experience came to both of us in a certain way of disclosure recently. So do you want to share a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, I had a client and we were talking about selling a property, and maybe, I don't know, a month ago or something. And then he called back again. He was on vacation, came back. And since then had a death in the rental property that happened. And so that obviously changed a few things for him. And he asked, do I have to disclose this? And they're from California. The laws are a little different out there than they are here. There you have to disclose no ifs, ands, or buts, any ghosts, deaths, anything that would stigmatize the property. And here the laws are a little different. The agent does not have to disclose, but the buyer or seller is still responsible for that information and could be liable. So very interesting conversation about that of
Yes.
what is there statutes of limitations on that? Well, no.
I
don't think so.
Well, we're not an attorney, so that's a question that's beyond our scope, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, a person that wants to sue, they,
Yeah.
I would say talk to your attorney about that, but that's the risk that you're putting yourself in as a seller to not disclose.
Right.
In a similar situation, well, not similar, but ironically, we are also in the process of closing a property where there were 2 deaths in the property of natural causes. But this whole idea of what do we disclose? We know in Colorado law and what they're teaching us as agents that the listing agent does not have to disclose what psychologically is stigmatized about a property. That is so true. So as you were saying, like in California, things like, was somebody killed here? Were there ghosts? This or that. As a listing agent, we have no duty to disclose that. But if we don't have the seller disclose it, an attorney counsel that I received told me this: you're setting your client up for potential liability and lawsuits that could come later that may have nothing to do with you as the agent, but they have everything to do with the seller not disclosing. So sellers, it's better to over disclose. I'm not saying, that, well, it's just, I'm not saying make things up because you're so scared about disclosing, but tell the truth.
Yeah, and that's a big one because some people are very sensitive about that particular subject. Some don't care, but some do. And if you get the one that does and you didn't disclose, you might have a problem on your hands.
Exactly. It's so true.
So
as the seller, the best place to disclose that, Shawna, where would you say?
in the seller's property disclosure.
Bingo.
Check other. And you can write whatever you want in because there's not a line item for that specific.
There isn't a line item for death, destruction, hurricanes, mutual, whatever,
Yeah.
No, you really and truly, though, you would need to write it in that other section. And that is important. I think as agents, we are not the ones to fill out your disclosure. And I think that's a common misnomer by some sellers that they think we should be checking the boxes or helping you figure it out. We can, of course, review it. And we want to read it to make sure there are no questions or no things that the seller talked to us about that they were not disclosed on the disclosure. We have to make sure everything is in there.
Yeah.
But wow, Shawna. So let's just play a quick role here. And the seller tells you, hey, I know that my furnace is going out and the furnace company told me it was broken, but I don't want to disclose it. What would you tell them?
You just did.
There you go. See, there goes Shawna Shark. You did, because then, Shawna, even if they don't disclose it, you as the agent have a duty to disclose.
We do. And when we find out those things, you have to disclose it. And you shouldn't try to hide it anyway.
That's right.
Because, the inspector is going to come find it out in the first place.
It's so much better to to say the truth up front. It avoids a lot of trouble.
And just because you disclose it doesn't mean you're agreeing to fix it. Because honestly, maybe the buyer they might not even ask for that. But you still should be honest.
They might want heat in this winter market, but
might.
maybe not. Maybe.
Well, in last year's market, there was a lot of people saying, I'll waive everything.
Yes.
But you still should disclose.
And by the way, that's the number one part of the regret for buyers now that have purchased those homes, is that they bought homes where everything was waived.
Yeah.
And some of the biggest lawsuits are coming back on those sellers who did not adequately disclose things, and the buyers bought the home at what they thought was face value.
Right.
And there were hidden objects that were not disclosed. So just really important. I mean, we encourage everybody to do the right thing and disclose it up front.
Treat others how you want to be treated.
That's right.
Bottom line.
Give heat in the home for everybody to enjoy.
It's freezing today.
So thank you so much for catching us on this episode. We cannot wait to continue to connect with you. And we are so grateful to continue these podcasts, talk about Thanksgiving, Shawna, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for our community. I'm thankful for the clients that we love and serve. And I hope that this podcast is of value. We want to continue to hear about the things that you would like for us to cover, topics that are relevant to you.
Yes.
So thank you again, and we will catch you next time.
See you later.